that's why the movie Alien is such a perfect example of what Mothership strives to be, which is just these people in space. They're going about their life. They come across a xenomorph. All hell breaks loose. They're just people.
Anything is a potential lethal threat. And that then puts into question at the very onset of the game, will I survive?
I think the more in character you are in Mothership as well, or I suppose in most games, it gives the other players and other characters an opportunity to also react and flesh out more than just the story, but who's in the story.
I think if you don't roleplay in a game like Mothership, you're destroying the entire premise of the game.
Get your guys to stop playing their tieflings, you degenerate, and try to play a crew of truckers in space that come across some horrific thing and then react to it.
I guess I'm just full of debauchery. I've done everything already. I want to do the f***ed up stuff now, which is like...
A degenerate role player.
I'm a degenerate. Push me out to sea and let me see what happens out there.
Hello and welcome to Nobody Wake The Bugbear. We are an actual play podcast for the Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG. I am Andrew the Warden. The Warden is what the Game Master is called in the Mothership RPG. Also, Andrew is an anagram of Warden. So naturally, I am the most qualified person to be in this position. My co-host today is not the Warden, but is an Andrew. Andrew, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am also Andrew. Andrew 2 or Andrew the player.
Well, if we go with me, the Warden, then you being Andrew, that's what I established at the beginning, so there's no confusion.
Fantastic.
We're joined by some special guests, and we're going to talk about the Mothership RPG, we're going to talk about role-playing, and we're going to talk about a bit of actual play podcasting. That's our topics for today. We are joined by two esteemed guests in the RPG field. Firstly, we have, this man would describe himself as an aggressive role player. It's the Gordon Ramsay of TTRPGs. It's Chris, better known as Table Runner Crispy.
That's me. Thanks. Glad to be back. Had a great time with our actual play. Really enjoyed it. So it's fun to reflect on that. Yeah, you'll find me on YouTube. I am evidently the controversial because I have a lot of hot takes. But yeah, enthusiastic about roleplay. That's my tag, mission statement. You call it motto. Enthusiastic about roleplay.
Last but not least, we have a professional podcaster and gaming enthusiast, both for computer and for TTRPGs. It's Dean from LSG Media and Gallows Humor Games.
What's going on? Thanks for having me back. Before we even get cracking here, I just want to make sure that Bearded Andrew is not in fact in a hostage video, because he has the way he's framed. It's like, I want to make sure, blink if you're okay, you know. It's got that real perfect framing for a hostage video. Yeah, exactly. But no, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to hang out with you guys. It's always fun when we get together. Even though we can't do it that often, but I'm looking forward to a little chit chat about role playing.
Well, the fans of our actual play, the Screaming on the Alexis, the Law of Salvage, as we called it, might be wondering why this isn't the next episodes of that actual play series.
I see.
But I thought having a little talk back show would be interesting to try out. This is the first time doing live recorded, like live action recording, so it's like a test run. It's
the first time you put your faces to camera, right? More or less.
For this guy,
yes.
For Andrew,
for other Andrew,
yeah.
Yep.
But I've been on the YouTube a few times now, doing my advice videos, trying to be a dungeon tuber, if you call it like that.
Yeah,
I know, but Andrew's way too handsome to be a dungeon tuber. I mean, we got his face on there for the ladies, clearly.
Yeah.
Yep.
They could apply to both of us.
It's true. This is true. I mean, an absolute round table of lookers. So, I mean, Crispy's your guy.
Has there ever been a more a more
Wake up.
testosterone-fueled TTRPG panel in the internet? I don't think so.
No, clearly not.
That's probably true, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're trying to be a dungeon tuber, you should talk to the guy to your right. I mean, he sips his Yeti cup and he just bangs out these great advice videos. I'm a tourist.
There we go.
I mean, aggressive. It's funny you say aggressive role player, and I think about that term a lot, and I'm like, yeah, in a sea of no role playing, any role playing is aggressive. It seems.
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of the joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the running joke. I'm thoroughly average, but here we go.
But it's
Yes.
funny that it even is. It's crazy to me to think that it has to even be that way now. Like you have to even say it. You have to say, well, no, I like the role playing part of the role playing game. It's as if it's an afterthought to a lot of tables. It's weird.
Yeah, just saying that seems like an insult to people when they say, "What do you mean you can't celebrate when you roll a d20, or you can't joke about your exploits,
That's funny.
anecdotes throughout the game when you should be playing?"
Yeah.
Well, I think
It's aggressive.
I think that the Nobody Wake the Bugbear podcast, and not just our little stint on it, but just in general, I think you guys strike a really good balance.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. It's for the most part, it is focused on the characters. You can get that. You have some kibitzing between the players. That's fine. I mean, that there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's part of the reason why I don't know if you are the number one, but it seems to me like if you want to watch a good,
We ought to be.
you ought to be,
We ought to be number one.
That's fair.
because
No, definitely. We're the number one podcast. Just don't fact check it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're the number one in Australia.
Number one in
That's for sure.
Australia, in a certain part of Australia at a certain time.
Yes.
That's nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty awesome.
No, I mean, it's still number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole
yes,
country,
we
I'm
are
told.
going to. It's the whole country. Yes, we are in the
yeah.
western part,
Yeah.
and we are affected by a cyclone at the moment during this recording. But the rain has stopped, so our upload speeds are fine.
That's good.
We'll get through.
Yeah, I was really happy to get the nod to go onto your Mothership game. That was really awesome. I've been eyeballing it for such a long time. I don't have much of a reliable play group in person. I've been hanging out with that crispy character for a while, and then got lucky enough to get asked. And
The rabble.
yeah, it's cool. I'm kind of like, they kind of keep me in the corner, but they should. It's probably better for the whole group.
So I think it was you, Dean, who messaged me on Discord way back in the 4D role-playing server. And maybe that's why I decided to go, who's this guy? What does he do?
Oh, interesting.
I saw the link, and that's probably what put me onto it. And then I was able to immediately see you in your podcast
Right.
and what you do. So that was a good primer versus playing with a complete stranger. Obviously, that's hard to do.
Yeah, of course.
But when you're out there on YouTube and a podcasting, you can work out how someone is, I guess.
Vibe, right? A vibe check?
Picture of what vibe check. That's what they call it.
Gotcha. There you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
So-
but no, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
let's go on to the topics for today, shall we? Or this
Sure.
evening for you guys.
Let's do it. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG, which is published by a company called Tuesday Night Games. It was created by Sean McCoy. This game, I don't know if you've heard of it from the start. The first Zero edition was published in 2018. I don't know if you heard about it way back then, but
Definitely
I didn't.
not.
What about you?
No, I can't say that I have. It was much more recent for me. I probably had, just because I'm one of these perpetually on YouTube guys, I probably did see someone, maybe one of these talking hands videos, show the book for just a moment.
Yeah.
But I get tired of looking at people's manicures, and so I don't.
Or lack thereof.
That is a format, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of two hands flipping a book.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I
It's,
doing?
It's
with my
extra
life?
difficult when there's sausage fingers.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know. This guy needs to go see his cardiologist. I mean, that's not.
I
a
just
good
want to
sign.
throw him on the plate with some eggs. Some
Clubbing
of these guys.
on his nail beds. I'm like, what's going on? You're like fungus. But this was a great first introduction to Mothership for me, and now that I've played it, I can see why it really does a great job of of being specific for its genre. And I appreciate that in a product. You know what you are, you know what you're targeting, and you stay with that. There's not a lot of style drift here. And I think that's a very good thing. When you buy Mothership and you're like, oh, that you already know what you're going for. And it does a great job of priming the player and the warden to this is what this game is about. And tell you know.
Yeah, I think they do that in the name of the game. The name is the Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG. You know exactly what you're getting on the box. And what we played was the first edition version, which is technically the second edition, but they call the first edition 0, and then this edition that we played is 1E, first edition. It was kickstarted back in late 2021, I believe, quite successfully, over $1 million US, I believe.
Not bad.
That's great.
And the first edition, it was finally released in full. Kickstarter was finished, I think, in 2024. So it's been fully out for a couple of years now. I first learned about it in March or February 2022, and I was looking for a new game to play. Just on we had a time slot in our D&D game where we could play a one-shot, and I wanted to do something sci-fi, so something opposite to fantasy as far as I could get. And it was up between I'd heard about the Alien RPG and also Mothership, but it wasn't until I reached out on Reddit to ask for some advice. I know, it's bottom of the barrel.
we won't hold it against you.
I will.
But people said, you could try Alien, it's good, but there's also a new version coming out called First Edition of Mothership that you might want to check out. They had the work in progress rules up available on the Kickstarter for free to browse. So when I heard the word free, I think I was all in.
Sold. There we go.
Because I didn't want to buy $60 worth of hardcover books or PDF, whatever, for Alien if it was just going to be a one-off.
Right. A beautiful game by all accounts, by the way. I have the most recent edition. It's nice looking. But you're right. If you're like, okay, I just want to take a shot at this, free's pretty nice.
I also picked up the Alien hardcover, and I have to say it's an absolutely beautiful book. But my concern with Alien, the RPG, is that once the xenomorph is there, then okay, and it's kind of it. Whereas what I like about Mothership is you never really know where the horror is going to come from.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a Australian band, comedy band called Tripod, and they have a song called Cut to the Fucking Monkey. And it's about King Kong.
Nice.
Yeah, and when you go see King Kong, you just want to see the giant monkey.
That's right. So when I watch Godzilla.
So when you sit down
to see Godzilla.
Yeah, when you sit down to play Alien RPG, people are going to see a xenomorph and they're going to want to see a xenomorph. Mm-hmm. But obviously there's lots more stories they had to jam in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But with Mothership, it's system agnostic, I believe they call it. So it's just agnostic. The rules. There's no, setting agnostic, not system agnostic. Mm-hmm. It's just the rules, the framework to play with.
Yeah.
And I think it does really well. So we've got some questions here that we've formulated just to sort of structure this so we're not rambling on like we have been. Now that you've played the Mothership RPG, Crispy, you've already said your first impressions of the game. But what about you, Andrew? And we'll go to Dean.
Yeah, well, look, my first impressions of the game, you invited me graciously to join you on the podcast. We started playing the Kill 'Em All module that had just been released for the 2025. 2024.
No. Yeah, 2024. It's been that long.
It has been that long. Wow. So 2024 Mothership month. It was quite daunting. I've certainly never done anything like this before. So that certainly made it, a new experience coming into a completely new game. I'd only played Dungeons and Dragons previously, and the vibe that Mothership gives, it just encapsulates everything that D&D was missing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was wondering if when you said you had never done this before, so you did have some experience playing D&D, you're saying?
Yeah, I'd played a few home games of D&D previously, and actually I'd just joined a D&D game that was being run from a local Perth
like a club?
RPG club, yeah.
Gotcha.
and
That's how we met.
Yeah. So we started playing that, and I'd never really played anything else outside of the setting or scope of Dungeons and Dragons. Always been into sci-fi, pretty mad since I was young. So yeah, when I got the opportunity to play Mothership, sorry, distracted by the beanie there.
Should I be wearing beanies too?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
You feel
Yeah,
comfortable
definitely.
and stuff? Or, that's good.
I think I'm getting some shine.
Ignore the camera, man. It's not there.
But yes, Dean, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, so I think Mothership is super interesting to me because I just like that stuff. That's the good stuff to me. I've played a lot of different games, and I think one of the challenges, so you play a Western, you play Star Wars, you play Dungeons and Dragons, you play whatever. A lot of times it's, I feel like if you're going to try to get into some kind of horror genre, that it's hard to pull off. I think you need the right group, and I definitely think you need a system that's geared towards it. And I think one of my favorite parts about Mothership was that it was a game that didn't have to be bent into something that captures the specific genre it's going for, which to me is very much like Event Horizon. It's got this real,
Correct.
The ship is returned from hell. We find a derelict craft. We go on derelict craft. And all of this stuff is just fascinating to me from a film, TV, and literature perspective. I just love that shit. So the ability to role play in it and have the system support that to make the game masters, whatever they call them in Mothership's job, a little easier, I always think is a bonus. But it's just, I really enjoyed it. And I think it has something to do with, obviously, the way you ran it. I think the scenario was solid. I think the players around me were really awesome, these guys here. So it helped maintain the atmosphere, which I think is crucial to making any type of game in that realm successful. One where we can stay in character, where we feel like, okay, we're there, we're in this place, man. I can feel it inward. And we're not bullshitting, and we're not talking about cyclones or baseball or whatever. We're like in it. I probably should have asked if swearing was wrong on this show. I'm way behind on that. Sorry about that if it is a problem. But
it's morally wrong, but I can cut it out.
I disagree. All right. Fair enough.
So, right, Dane, I got a potty mouth too.
All right, fair enough. So yeah, no, it's just it's awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I'm just glad it exists. And I don't know. There's something exciting about feeling that you're out of your element and that you might not survive, and you're going to really try to, but you still might not. There's something exciting about that for me.
I agree with you, Dean, and I think that one of the strengths of Mothership is the whole mechanic is based around the building of stress. There's two things that I look for in a role-playing game. I want to have a game where we can have fast dice resolution. I don't like slow, cumbersome, look up a table here, look another table there.
Sure. Or
I'm not quite sure what the mechanic is. So we're going to use a D100. No, we're going to use a D20. No, we're going to use a D6. I like it to be consistent. And Mothership as a D100 types roll under system is very intuitive. I found it very easy to understand the rules. The character sheet was not some exercise in hieroglyphics. It's well laid out. It's easy to find things. And I like the fact that when you fail a roll, you build stress. And that's not a nothing thing, because then you get your panic rolls. And I do like how the mechanics of the system that the game designers made this game, they put some thought into, this is a horror game, so we want to have a stress mechanic, and we want to lean into this. And then if you have, depending on what your character class is, you're going to have different trauma responses. You're going to have the different panics. I think it works well. At no point did I feel like the system was really fighting what I'm trying to get out of it, which is the role play. I'm not in it just to play a board game. I want the role play to be sent front and center. And I felt like with Mothership, there was no point where it felt like role play was just you can do that when you're buying your science fiction wrench. And then when you're not doing that, we're just going to be doing more of a board game activity. And it never at any point did it feel that way. And I like that. So I look for that. Fast dice resolution and a mechanic that's not going to fight me as I try to get the most out of the role play experience.
I think with the stress mechanic and the panic mechanic, that's where it differs from the Alien RPG, because the Alien RPG, stress is actually useful and is a benefit sometimes in roles. You get a stress dice, which you can add. I believe you can add to certain things.
Yes. Whereas
with Mothership, it is the slow increase in tension that is worse, and it's this rising feeling of dread where it will not get better. You start the adventure at the best possible point, and at the end you're a wreck. And I think it's that build of tension that really makes it separate from the rest.
Yeah,
as you said.
That and the other thing that Crispy said too is like, when he rolls and he fails, he likes the fact that he has stress, which if you examine that closely, it's what makes Mothership special. And it's that, and it really is something, in my opinion, that makes role-playing games that I enjoy more enjoyable. And that's, you're not rolling for every goddamn thing you do. You're rolling because the situation demands for it, and it is stressful by design. You're not just there's no routine checks in Mothership. You either do something or you don't, and I love that. And if you're rolling, it means that your ass is on the line. So if you fail, stress makes sense. If the game was polluted by routine rollings, like, oh, I got to open my computer system and run a routine, and everything's fine, and I fail that and I get stressed, it'd be like, well, that's crazy. That dude's unhinged. Why is he getting stressed over routine shit? I like that you're not rolling every step of the way, but you're rolling when it really matters. Hence, stress when you fail. And I think that's one of the big successes of Mothership for me. Is that just plays so well into the maintaining that rising tension of feeling like shit is about to break. You know.
Like touching on that with actual players, I won't name them, but some of them, one of them started off with a roll coming out of hyperspace or hypersleep, and someone critically failed, and it was a big stressful situation where it turned into a consecutive number of failures, and it's just for the start of the game getting out of a cryopod, which should be routine. I think just from that very fact, they've misunderstood the system where you shouldn't be rolling for this sort of routine stuff, and it sets an expectation for the players as well.
Right.
Then you get to the point of asking, can I roll for things? And it just sort of ruins the vibe, I think. So the low rolling is a big standout point. You're only rolling if you're under stress or it's going to matter,
right? Which
I think is what really helps.
Yeah.
On that note, with the stress and panic mechanics, one of the things that I really like about Mothership is that because those mechanics really help support getting deeper into, actual role playing, because it's baked into the game that, as things progressively get worse and worse and the situations, deteriorate, it's as mechanically it's impacting your character. It helps push that same sort of drive for you to play the character as being affected by the stress and the panic and actually get into what the character's experience is.
Absolutely.
Which
that's awesome.
Haven't seen any other games really push that as well as Mothership.
Yeah, it's funny. When I think about something like that, it's funny because like there are some times where role players don't want to, especially aggressive ones, don't want to be quote unquote told how to be or how to feel. But I do think sometimes in a situation like that, there are plenty of players who maybe like that because it does allow them a sense of direction. Like, especially if you're a newer role player and you're still kind of getting your legs under you and trying to figure out how to be. I think sometimes if you make a roll and you fail, and the roll kind of gives you a state of panic, so to speak. It almost gently pushes you to try to embrace that from a role-playing perspective, and I dig that. And again, for Mothership especially, it keeps it within the paradigm of what Mothership is supposed to be about, which is what we've been describing for the last 20 minutes. That idea of you're on the brink and you can feel it, and the system pushes you in that way. So it's cool. Yeah, I love the panic.
For me, it reminded me a lot of Call of Cthulhu, with the stress and your sanity and eventually, as you experience things, your grip on sanity becomes more tenuous over time. But what I like about Mothership is that it was much more accessible. Call of Cthulhu has a lot of pieces on it, and the dice resolution on that, because of the gradations of success and potential, it is a little more involved. Mothership's more streamlined, and I don't say that as a slight against the system. I think that's a benefit. Yeah. It's the kind of game where you can gather with some friends, and with a minimal amount of effort explaining the mechanics, everyone can get right into the game. Call of Cthulhu is not quite that way. It's a little more involved than that.
It's such a good point, Chris, because how hard is it to this is to wit. What's the hell? I can't remember what's the damn game we played? The Steel game, Draw Steel.
Oh, Draw Steel. Yeah, jeez.
What I'm getting at is, even with something that
you'll flood the comments, Dean.
I won't. I'll leave it alone. As much as I love the even Call of Cthulhu, you think about that too, especially if you're somebody who's newish to the game. If you're dealing with a system with endless hardcovers, it's intimidating, because you're like, not only do I feel like I have to take it upon myself to know the game, I then I'm still learning this role play stuff. I'm still figuring that out, and I have all these rules to remember to boot. And that's what I think. I mean, how many pages is the Mothership rule book, Andrew? Is it 20? Is it
Let me just check.
It's not many.
Slightly more than 20. The player survival guide is 44 pages.
Yeah, that's a chapter in most role-playing books. It's like
I think it's a great length for people, especially. I'm thinking of you, Andrew, when you said, well, you've played some D&D. I mean, there's no... To get people to move off of D&D, I think having an entry, like a gateway drug like Mothership, is a great thing to have, because the barrier to entry is not large. Look, here's your character. Here are your stats. Roll a D100 under these figures here. That's a success. Otherwise, it's a failure. You gain stress. If I call for a panic attack or a panic check, you're going to look at your stress number. You're going to roll this dice here, D20. If it's a greater than whatever the stress number is, then you're going to freak out.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, in a nutshell, you can go and play Mothership now. Yeah. That's it. So that's really handy, because most of the role-playing hobby is tied up in fantasy. And I like fantasy role-playing too. Sure. I had nothing against it. But like Andrew, been a sci-fi fan for a long time. And it's a nice palate cleanser. Get your guys to stop playing their tieflings, you degenerate, and try to play a crew of truckers in space that come across some horrific thing and then react to it. It's such a nice change of pace. I'd love to hear, Andrew, what you thought, having played D&D in home games and club games or what have you. You said that first Mothership, it was like, wow, this is what I was looking for. Is that fair to say? Well, tell me about your experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've, even before finding out about the whole 4D, role-playing community, I've always enjoyed, being in the character's role. So, and with D&D, it's very much a case of, it's not that serious. I mean, I suppose, you can have some more serious campaigns, but for the most part, it's kind of silly fantasy fun.
Mm-hmm.
versus coming into a Mothership game and a Mothership world where there are consequences. It's
no fun allowed.
That's right. No fun allowed.
No fun allowed.
I've got to stop all my hilarious jokes and my witty comments. But no, focusing on more of the actions have consequences. If you do something silly in Dungeons and Dragons, usually it's kind of like a ha-ha moment sort of thing. In Mothership, if you do something that's that's silly, you could just as easily die from it or go crazy or go, that there are negative repercussions in Mothership, and mechanically that's supported. If you want to try and do something in D&D, you roll, you fail, oh whoops, it's just a fail, you don't do the thing. In Mothership you can fail because you're only rolling for when it's an actual dire situation. The situation is there's something could potentially go wrong, and you're rolling to try and avoid that. So when you're only rolling for the failures and you're only, you're trying to, it becomes about, I'm not just trying to play the hero. I'm not just trying to win and succeed and save the day and, get all my accolades and level up. You're rolling to see, do I survive this game? Do I? So everything's just got a lot more depth to it, I feel.
What you described there sounds more believable to me. Like if you have to suspend disbelief to play a role-playing game in a setting, any setting really, but in a science fiction setting, it is just so much more believable to me that that there are consequences for your actions. A lot of again, no hate for 5th edition D&D, but there's a lot of things there that are really hard to suspend disbelief. And I don't think there's a lot of that, not as much of that required for Mothership, because everything seems more grounded to me. You do this, you have this skill, you fail this skill. It's not the same. It's not really a power gaming game.
Right.
It's these characters feel more like regular Joes to me. And I think that's a good thing.
The creator, Sean McCoy, once said that the goblin with a knife is like an end-level threat in Mothership, or anyone with a knife.
Yeah.
Like, you just think of it, this small green creature that's hell-bent on stabbing you with a knife
should be terrifying.
Is terrifying.
Yeah.
And just the knife can wound you through the wound system. If you've only got 10 to 20 health, you could slice your artery and just be bleeding out on the floor just from one attack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that sort of lethality that really lends itself to the gameplay.
It's a fundamental issue that I've always had with Dungeons and Dragons and hit points in general. It's just this idea that you don't really fear the idea of 3 feet of steel being rammed into your guts. And I want to play a fantasy setting like that. And if I can't, then I'll play Mothership because I like science fiction too. But I guess that's my point. I think you're right on the money, Crispy, when you say D&D seems to be more of a power fantasy, more of a let's chase levels, let's chase magic items, let's go from point A to B to C to what have you and level up and do our stuff. And we're never really in danger, especially a lot of these APs that are popular. Their characters aren't going anywhere because they're in the show. There's that meta aspect to it. So it's like this, you never really quite are... You're never really quite nervous about the consequences. And when you take away the consequences, you take away the drama to me. So it all works backwards. If the conflict is meaningless because who cares because magic, then there's really no drama for me. If there's no drama for me, then there's just really nothing interesting happening. If there's no conflict of matter, if there's no conflict of consequence, I don't care. I'm out. I'm bored.
And I just can't think. I can't envision a truly horrific game, like a horror game, not a bad game. So horror, not horrific in terms of quality, but just horror as a genre, and not have that inexorably linked to whether the question of survival. Mm-hmm. And that is where Mothership really shines, because as the warden was saying here, anything is a potential lethal threat. And that then puts into question at the very onset of the game, will I survive? And that question, for me at least, through our game that we played together, that just permeated everything. Every scene, I'm thinking,
For sure.
am I going to survive?
It's a great point.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a great
That is
point.
what horror, for me at least, that is a significant, if not perhaps the most significant element of a successful horror game, is the question of survival. And I think that you can't really have horror if, hey, that's all right, we'll just take you down to the local cleric and he'll patch you on up and we'll attach your limbs and you'll be fine.
And just think about when you build your character, right, guys, for D&D, and not just D&D. I'm not specifically singling it out. I can speak professional. And that's this idea that you're building out for conflict. You're building your cleric for conflict. You're building your knight for conflict. You're building your wizard for conflict.
You want to fight.
You know you're going to fight, and you're preparing for that endeavor. In Mothership, you're
That's 1/3 of the game, right? One of the pillars, right?
In Mothership, you're a pilot. You're a navigator. Now, we know in the meta sense, conflict is coming, but we're not building out these characters for that endeavor. We're building them out to be successful at this job of being a space trucker. That's why the movie Alien is such a perfect example of what Mothership strives to be, which is just these people in space. They're going about their life. They come across a xenomorph. All hell breaks loose. They're just people. They're not Marines. And I know they're Marine characters and stuff in Mothership, but you don't build for it. And that's what I think makes it interesting, is that right there. But even outside of Mothership, and I won't take us off base, but I just want that in all my games. If I'm playing a detective going in for a suspect, I want to be terrified playing the character that I might get shot on the way in. I don't want to be like, oh, it's fine. I got how many hit points? So even if I get shot, I'm wearing armor, I'll just go in. Like that, I'm out. I'm bored. I don't want to play in that game. And it has nothing to do with the DM, the GM. I'm not interested in that. I want to be like, fuck, God damn it, working up the steel to kick in the door and go in. So like, but specific to Mothership, yeah, you're trying to serve. Your mission is not, okay, we got to get to the thing and get the other thing so then I can level up. And maybe by the time we get to the mountains, I'll be this level, so I'll have this spell. It's not that at all. It's just the whole premise is just different. And that's what's exciting about it for me.
Yeah, I think Mothership does a really great job of getting that lethality in. And as you said, it contributes to the role-playing of the game and the feeling of being in a stressful situation and playing these normal characters. So yeah, all great points, guys. Thank you for
And when you
sharing your
get out,
thoughts
you
on that.
go, yes. I don't know, and I don't expect to get
Sigh of
out,
relief.
but if you get out, that's awesome, right? I know there's a lot of like there's plenty of 4D players, especially my man who's not here, Bacon, my pal Bacon, crispy nice pal Bacon. He's like, I joke, I've been thinking about calling him this. I'm like, he's like the comic 4D guy, because he's like, I want to die, I expect to die, which is awesome. But it's also like, then the opportunity when you don't is amazing. Like when you get out of a Mothership game, with your sanity or be alive. Wow, that's impressive.
The high score in Mothership, the little box on your character sheet, it's just how many sessions you've survived.
That's awesome.
That's it. You don't get anything for it. You just, you survived.
Bragging
one
rights.
point.
And if you don't, you get a
Bragging
cool
rights.
role-playing death scene,
I think it's sort of like how, D&D is more like Marvel movies, where all the main characters,
Sure.
they're all gonna, they're gonna be battling the big bad, but they're all gonna be there at the end of the movie.
Right.
Versus playing Mothership is more like being in a horror movie where you are just a group of regular Joes who are in over their heads, and there's no guarantee that you're going to make it to the end of the movie or the end of the game.
For sure.
Well put.
Great way to say
Well
it.
put.
Great way to put it, Andrew. And then let's move on to another topic, shall we?
Shall
I
we?
think that sounds good.
But first, we got to see right after these messages. We'll be right back. Pause for ads. Hello and welcome back to Nobody Wake the Bugbear. We are not playing an actual play this time. We are having a roundtable discussion on Mothership, role-playing, and actual play RPGs. I am joined by Chris from Table Runner Crispy. How you going?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Yep.
Good. I'm joined by Dean from the Lost Drive-In podcast, LSG Media, Gallows Humor Games.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
And Andrew.
I'm also here.
This guy.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to change topics a bit. And Chris, a few of us mentioned role-playing during our last discussion. Would you like to give a quick rundown, a quick definition of role-playing, Chris? You're the expert. You're the certified expert here.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd call myself an expert. I have opinions. That I don't know if that counts as expertise, having opinions. So role-playing for me is that fun activity where you get to step into a different character and you make decisions in a fictional world as if the world was real and as if that character is real in the world and you're inhabiting that character. And so you're going to make decisions as if you were that, not you. I mean, it's definitely not you, but you're going to pretend it's you. And I think that is for me, because I hear people talking about role-playing games all the time, and they focus a lot on the dice mechanic, or they focus a lot on the combat rule, and then role-playing just gets a little bit of I don't want to even define it, because we're going to just call all of that role-playing. And I want to be much more specific. When I talk about role-playing, I am talking about being in character in that fictional world. And I think that for me, and it's not just me, others too, the game is the role play. All of the things that we do to determine success or failure, the dice mechanic we're using, how the characters are built, that should be supportive of playing that character, being in that character. And for a game like Mothership, where horror, science fiction horror is, I think that the best way to get there is to get more of those moments where you feel like I could feel like I was there. So that for me is the ultimate goal, and that's a short description of what I consider to be role play: being in character versus out of character, seeing that fictional world through the character's eyes, not your own, and pretending that you're that Marine or you're that whatever Teamster on the ship. And as much as you can, try to stay consistent with that. And the more you do that,
you're a big part of the 4D role playing.
I am. Yeah, that's my preferred style of play. Which, in very brief description, it's an effort as much as possible to stay in character for as long as possible, and having breaks from that be minimized, and having everything. So in other words, it's a style where we try to avoid asking questions directly to the warden, using a Mothership term. We try to say where characters are, so we don't have a bunch of like, hey, where are you again? Or like, or we certainly try not to move player characters around. That's the domain of the player and not the warden. So player agency is a big thing. And we want to try to be faithful to all of the mechanics of the game we're playing, but have those exist as much as possible in the background. So very high trust games where we trust that Andrew's not cheating again. He's learned his lesson. He's going to, or
how many times do I have to say sorry?
I'm sorry about that. So we don't want to eliminate the game element of it, but we want the game element to be the role play. And that is, in a nutshell, what the 4D style is all about. Can we play these games and be more in character than not in character? What do we have to do that? And is it even possible? So it's my preferred way.
Not even defining it.
Yep.
Not even defining it as 4D role playing. It's just essentially just role playing, isn't it?
It is.
4D is just a name, a collection of methods.
That's right.
Of how to get
a recipe.
That's a great way. Yes, and it's the 4D is kind of a meme name. It has a history, but it's not really important. The reason why it's helpful to have it labeled that, for good or for bad, that's what it's called. But and that is that collection of activities. So in the 4D style, it's not just being in character, but it's also this and this and this and this. And I don't know that that's really useful for listeners to this particular podcast, other than to say we do have a beginner's 4D handbook. It's a style guide, and it's system agnostic, and it's totally free. You can check it out at DriveThruRPG. It's a free download. It's about 88 pages, and it goes through all of this. And I'm sure there'll be a few things in there that someone that's moderately interested could probably pick out a couple things and say, "Oh, I'm going to give that a try," or "I could do that."
Shout out to Bacon and Dr. Mike.
Yeah. Shout out to Bacon
Yes.
and Dr. Mike for writing that. It was very, very good stuff. Mike and Bacon did a lot of work on that, and it's an excellent free resource. But there's my plug. We were talking about ad reads. There's my ad read.
Yes.
Yeah, well, look, the 4D Player's Handbook, fantastic read, full of so many great advice, and I've personally read through it a couple of times now to try and
Right on.
role play better on this podcast.
So Andrew,
yes,
with with Mothership in general and the screaming on the Alexis, how do you think role playing enhances the game of Mothership, and what can it to elevate the experience?
Well, I think particularly with Mothership, again, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier, because the mechanics are very much about surviving the stress and panic of the horrors of space. The more that you can get into character and actually role play your character's experience, it just leads to a better experience for everyone at the table, the story as a whole. The more you role play in the game, it just, particularly with a game like Mothership, it just adds to the whole storyline and dynamic. And I don't think it would really run as well if you're not role playing those mechanics of your character getting more and more stressed as things get worse and worse.
I agree.
Dean,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Here's what I think. I think if you don't role play in a game like Mothership, you're destroying the entire premise of the game, which is to attempt to, on some level, put the player in a position of maybe feeling some of that intensity of being in the situation. The second you start cracking up and laughing and making jokes and talking out of character and bullshitting about X, Y, and Z, you destroy immersion in any role-playing game. And it's especially true in a game like Mothership, where if you're just not role-playing, then you're really not, you're doing yourself, and as Andrew pointed out, you're doing your table a disservice by shattering the illusion that is the shared fiction, as it were. I think if you don't if you don't lean into the role playing, if you lean away from the role playing, Mothership is going to be like any other game where you're just throwing dice trying to get through to the end. You're going to lose all that special sauce that makes it gripping.
Yeah, you don't want to be human dice rollers for a GM who's guiding you through a story, right?
Yeah.
You want to have the agency to be the character in the horror movie. It's a great way to play through a horror situation that you see that, we watch Aliens and Event Horizon and The Thing, of course.
Great movie.
You want to be in that person's position to see how you would react, because everyone yells at the TV when the horror person opens the door or does something, or what's behind there. You want to experience that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just start with the incessant questions, it just shatters that whole the whole paradigm. Just gets, it's like being shaken awake from a dream.
Well,
right?
Dean, what I think happens there, I think what happens with that is that it puts too much distance between you, the player, and the character.
For sure.
Because you're stepping out, and it's almost a lifeline. When you're running a horror game, I think shorter games are better than longer games, because the longer it goes, the more I'm going to want to have that. I just need to take a breather because it's getting too intense. And you can tell when it's getting intense in a horror game because people start cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And then you can tell, okay, it was getting intense, but now that's the release valve. And the out of character,
and that's the players releasing their tension.
Yeah,
not even the characters.
And it's not. It's just the players releasing. And but what you want is you want the players to be feeling, as much as they're pretending to be those characters, they're feeling the tension of the character, and then they're getting that true horror thing like, oh no, what is that? Something went bump in the night. And I think this goes beyond players. I think that wardens make or break this too, doing the exact same thing. If you want to run a Mothership game and have it be very memorable, then I think it's required to take the game seriously. If you're just yucking it up the whole time, you may still have a great time and you may still have fun. But if you wanted to set out to do just a horror thing, then take it seriously. Like this world is, you're going to have to role play as the world, but not just any world, a horror sci-fi world. And you shouldn't break character either. Wardens do this all the time. You see this in a horror game. If you're watching a horror game and after every time that the warden talks, he starts laughing.
It's the worst, dude.
That's not going to reinforce the tone where Mothership really excels. And
I never laugh, do I, Andrew?
No. Well, we don't say anything that funny. So.
No.
Yeah,
I think with Nobody Wake the Bugbear, I like to promote and cultivate that feeling of stress for the players as well. Not only because I yell at people for not being serious, but also I just give them death stares if they're trying to during the game. But I turn the aircon off. It's hot. It's stressful.
You can't see and beat us in an audio podcast.
I believe it.
It's all Foley.
The beatings will continue until morale improves. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So with Mothership and regarding role-playing, do you think it facilitates that style of play in its examples in the book itself, in the player's survival guide? Now, I'm going to say it does not, which is no slight against Mothership, but if in the player's survival guide, you get all these rules that are very conducive to role-playing. It's got all this mechanics that doesn't interfere with the role-playing situation. You've got stress mechanics. They give you cues on how to react. You've got panic, this table, which is the same thing. And it's very simplified. However, when you get to the examples of play in the book, it's very much conversational, and it's all above the table. It's meant to have a conversation with the warden to telegraph danger, to assign ways of success.
Right.
And I think it's just completely against what the horror is trying to do. So
I agree.
Yeah. The way we play Mothership here at Nobody Wake the Bugbear and 4D role-playing in general, or just role-playing, would not be the standard practice because of this game, I would say. Would you say that? Watching other actual plays of Mothership?
Yeah, I would agree definitely that it, actually all the conversations where it is just talking, asking questions of the warden, it's just clarifying questions and clarifying statements.
Yes, how far away is the monster? Can I get to the airlock in time? And the warden will say, well, sure, if you rush, I'm going to give you a speed check and you can rush to that door, or you could do something else. What if I use my industrial repair? And it becomes a conversation in the middle of a horror situation. And that's not what I like.
Well, I can understand it being presented that way as like an introduction for your people who maybe have no experience with the role-playing sphere. Going straight into in-character role play, I think for somebody who's never done it before is certainly a bit daunting.
Especially if they have a background.
Perhaps easing into that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. If they have a background of doing negotiations with their D&D dungeon master or their warden, where there's a back and forth negotiation. If you do this, then you'll have to roll this, and then you'll have to do this. Which is
very much the OSR style, right?
I think it even goes beyond OSR. I think that's the baseline assumption in Draw Steel. I think that's the same thing that you'll see in Daggerheart. I think goes
pick up a role playing book and read any example.
The examples
dare
are
you
always
to not find it's every time, every book, for all time.
So I agree with you. I think you're right, Dean, and I think Andrew's right that if you're not used to that, what we're talking about, which is you don't get a chance to see the future by negotiating with the warden. You just aren't going to get that. That's a cold water wake up, isn't it? That's what? What do you mean? Well, that seems hardcore. interestingly, if Andrew were to grab somebody who's never played any RPG, any pen and paper RPG ever before, and sit them down into the Warden's Mothership game, I think they would get it right away, because they don't.
Yeah, you're right. Play
they
pretend.
don't have
you're
that,
this character.
That's right. They don't have that. Oh, right. So I just have to interact with the world to find out about these things. I don't get a chance to peek into the future, see around the curvature of the earth a little bit by asking the Warden, hey, if I were to do this, what would happen? What would I need to roll if I were to? Don't get that. So
yeah. No, that's. It's funny because I definitely think that that's true. I assume it's true, but I don't know for a fact if that's true. But it feels like the right answer, Crispy, which is that it's unlearning what you have learned, to quote Yoda, when it comes to just staying in character. If you, and I think a lot of that's going to come at the behest of how, suppose the game master. I think it rests on game masters a lot too. How are they going to run the show? Are they going to say, well, what do you do? Well, are they going to engender those questions by the way they're running the game and approaching the players? Right, and you quickly find that, especially in the 4D style, where the DM just backs away off, and you're kind of left to swim, which I like.
As a warden, if you're playing with players, and once they start asking you questions and you start answering them, they get the idea that this is how to play.
Correct.
They think, oh, if I have a difficulty in the game, I just ask you, and I think that just strips away the horror nature, because you've got this up above level of communication and information gathering that just wouldn't be there if you're playing that character.
So
I think for having.
Sorry, you're sorry. I get excited, right? You can tell.
Me too.
Oh no,
There you go.
Ian gets excited now. It's all gone. So the problem, obviously, the player is going to get the information from the Warden.
Yeah,
it's just how do they get the information from the Warden? Now, I would much prefer that the player interacts with the world, which cues the Warden to react with information, and much better than just asking the Warden, well, couldn't you just interact with the world?
There's so many times where, as a GM, even back in the day, pre 4D, and I'm not going to be one of these I've always 4D people, but I would do stuff like, if I was running a game and a character said, well, I'm going to ask the bartender if, and I would say, well, then ask him. And it's just
going to do this.
It's a
when
gentle
are you going to
push.
do that?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the bartender if he's seen the lady with the blonde hair and the red jacket. And I go, okay, so go ahead and ask him. And they go, oh. I walk up to the bar. So you have to you have to create a situation where you help people understand that, and then it starts to click, and when it does, it's awesome. And that's
it is awesome. And when we were playing, the three of us, and it was the first time we had ever played Mothership for Dean and I, and it was our first time playing with Andrew.
Yeah.
And watch the session.
The Andrews,
yes. It just went smooth.
Yeah.
It went smooth.
It did.
I felt like it was smooth. I mean, even though it was, I think it was like 5 a.m. for me or something when I was playing.
Yeah, you were early, man.
And so my voice is a little raspy, but I didn't have any trouble at all staying engaged in that, because I was excited to see what Andrew's turn was going to be, and what his guy was. And then he had a great Irish accent. And I'm always
Scottish.
So impressed.
Scottish.
Was it Scottish? It was a brogue?
It was.
Well, my Scottish accent and my Irish accent, there's not a lot of difference between the two of them, really.
The Irish are sing-songy. They sing-song a bit. A bit of a sing-song.
I think you'll find in a Mothership game, the more the players are in character or role-playing, the smoother the game will go.
Yeah.
And that's not and the more the horror element can come to the forefront.
Yeah.
Well, I think the more in character you are in Mothership as well, or I suppose in most games, it gives the other players and other characters an opportunity to also react and flesh out more than just the story, but who's in the story.
You get interpersonal conflict between the characters, which is a whole other venue of stress and gameplay.
Advanced role play.
You're not just
there.
You're not just reacting to the storyline where you got to follow this little path. You get to the next set piece, the next location, the next NPC. You've got a table of people you can interact here who can have conflict between them and be interesting. You know?
Yeah,
Especially when the warden gives us conflicting secret missions that end up with us killing each other off by the end of the episodes. It's always fun.
But it's so true. The game isn't ping pong. Why are we playing these games where it's just ping pong, where I serve to the warden and the warden returns to me, and then the warden then serves to the next player, and then that player serves back or returns back to the game works so much better when it's interactions with the characters between themselves.
Even worse than
I
was just say, even worse than ping pong, Chris, is when people are like, when you can feel the GM or even the players not even going to the ping pong table. They're like, we have to get to the next ping pong table so we can then just go to the next ping pong table. I'm like, give me a fucking second to just like talk to somebody, so you'll get that too, where you'll feel like you're being pushed, or, okay, now what? Now we're gonna go to this thing. Now we're gonna go to this thing. It's like this pathology to go from A to B to C to D to E, because that's what the GM has in mind. So it's like, you want to give players that moment to interact, to develop who they are, because in my opinion, the game is the character. Like, the game is role play, but who's role playing? The friggin' characters. Like, that's who I want. The characters have to have time to breathe.
For a horror game, not only as a game played with friends, but as a product of actual play entertainment, the characters are one of the most important things you can have to creating that horror feeling. If the audience does not care about the characters, they don't care what happens to them. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big focus point, especially when doing an actual play.
Not unlike
absolutely.
Film.
If you want to create better actual plays, if you want to create a really good actual play, you need really good characters.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a whole nother topic.
And it is a whole nother topic. And if you're ready to move on, we can move on to that, shall we?
You're running this ship, my man. You're the warden.
Right. Let's do it. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew the Warden here. I hope you're enjoying the round table with Chris from Table Runner Crispy and Dean from Gallows Humor Games and the Lost Drive-In podcast. And Andrew the Warden as well. No, Andrew the player. Andrew the player as well. If you're liking what you see, please make some noise in the comments below. And this is like a pilot version. We don't know what to call the show yet, but we'll brainstorm some ideas. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more. This is kind of a test drive of new content, and we'll see where it goes. So, yes, hope you're enjoying it. Press the like button. Bye-bye. Welcome back. We are now moving on to the final topic, which is actual play podcasts, tabletop RPG, actual plays, and podcasts. We've all been in a podcast before, haven't we, gentlemen?
A few.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, how does a podcast differ? How does an actual play differ from normal table play? What should you be looking for in an actual play? Crispy, you've been in many.
I have
on your channel, not only on your channel
too. I've critiqued a lot,
and you also critique it.
Yeah, I have.
He's seen more than anybody I know.
That's how I got the. That's right. I've seen some things.
You people wouldn't believe.
Would not believe.
So they say that TTRPGs are not a spectator sport.
They're not.
Yet there are many examples of the popular medium, especially when you get to the critical role side of things.
Sure.
There's millions of
very entertaining
viewership and
very entertaining.
Yeah. That's opinion that may differ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly as a product of entertainment, there's an audience for
growing industry.
Yeah.
Crispy, you've watched the most possibly and you critique. What do you want to see out of an actual play?
I may be a little different on this because when I watch an actual play, what I'm really interested in is how they're role playing. And
yes.
I'm not convinced that's what the mainstream audience is looking for when they're looking for an actual play. I think they want to be brought in to feel that what is it called, parasocial connection with
audience interaction
with the characters. They start to identify with some of the characters. I think it helps if you're going to create an actual play and have people excited to watch it. It helps to have players that have some personality. They don't have to be the same. In fact, it's probably better that they are different, but they should be. I mean, they should have some element, and this is going to sound very harsh, but you got to have some charisma. You have to be able to engage with the other players in a helpful way. I've seen actual plays where one or more of the players is absolutely making life hell for the other players and the game master, and it becomes this antagonistic thing. I don't think that works well in the long run. It's good content for me because I get to watch it and say, what are you guys doing? This is terrible. But I think that there's a lot of things to look for, but that's what I look for. I look for how are these people role playing? Is there something interesting here? Are they trying to role play, or is this something else? And that may be a little different. I also think if you're producing an actual play for an audience, instead of just, hey, we're just going to play, and you know what, we may as well have someone else look over our shoulder, but we're really not thinking as a entertainment product. I think you do need to have good audio. It's very hard to listen to an actual play. Most people are going to listen to your actual play at double speed. It's just the way it's going to go. So,
as a producer and editor, that is horrendous.
I know it's horrendous
to hear.
I agree.
But that is
the amount of time, the pacing.
You spent so many hours in DaVinci getting this all perfect. But the problem is that we all have busy lives, and most actual plays are going to go for 90 minutes or more. And what do you have time for that? Now, if you have a commute, maybe that's not necessary. But I do think that clear audio is a key. I do think that people lean too much into background music. That element of production, it's really tricky. If they do a really good job with it, then it can reinforce the tone. But more often than not, my experience with that element of actual plays it's mostly detrimental. Either it loops excessively, and then it just becomes, well, I'm just tired of this, or it's too loud, or there's too much, fiddling bits to try to get the right track if they're doing it real time. I think that there's the way you do it, Warden Andrew, is probably the best way to do it, which is you take that hours and hours of work to make sure that everything is properly balanced. And that background sounds, I love the sound effects, by the way. I think sound effects really do elevate. If you're going to, so most of my actual plays, if you see on my channel, they have not been edited. They are just done live. It's a live play, a little different than an actual play. It's live. It's just whatever it is that happens in the session happens. You're welcome to see it. But in an actual play, where there has been time and effort put into polish it up as a piece of entertainment, sound effects are fantastic if they don't overshadow the audio of the participants. They have to come through always as the clearest to the listener. I think regarding your experience with our actual play, the Law of Salvage. We had some music playing during that, but we didn't have sound effects. Was that music during the session? Was that distracting, or is that? I didn't find it distracting because it wasn't loud enough to be distracting to me. But that's a fine tune. You got to be right on the money with that, because if it's a little too loud, then it's distracting, and if it's not loud enough, then why even have it?
You'll notice in the edited version of the podcast, the music is different and more curated.
Yeah.
And also the sound effects are all added in post-production. Dean, how do you feel listening back to the session? How did it differ from your real life experience when we're recording it to the end product when listening back? How did you feel the differences?
There's significant differences, clearly. I think that I think with actual plays, it's funny because I'm a really bad person to ask because I guess I just don't find many of them. I find few and far between of them interesting enough to watch them a lot or listen to them a lot. But that's just a matter.
Do you listen back and watch your own actual plays that you've been in?
A little bit, yeah. I do. Not even a whole session though. Like I'll bump around and stuff, but sometimes I do. I did with Chaos.
Do you cringe when you listen to yourself, or are you excited to listen to yourself?
I'm completely over that. I've done, in humble brag, probably over 1,000 episodes of podcastings, and having to listen to yourself so many times, I'm just over it. In the beginning, I was like, "Oof, this is rough," but that goes away.
It does.
You try to be objective about. Okay, here's where I can improve. This is terrible. What was I thinking here? Or maybe I can say again. That's great. So you get used to going through that shit.
We haven't had a single in this whole recording, I do believe. That is professional level speaking.
Better add some likes. You
know.
One of the things you did in post, Warden, which was so good, was if we were talking on the comms, you did a voice mod thing. I think that's
one of my favorite things.
That's one of my favorite things when I'm listening to more of a podcast version of a game. When you can do that sort of thing, it really clarifies who's speaking and what's going on, and I think that's excellent. You were very kind and took some clips of one of the games that I ran, and you did that. You cleaned up the audio as much as you could, and then you changed it so that there was a voice mod, so it sounded like we were talking over comms. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then sound effects, it's awesome.
I think that's the huge key for me is that there's an adage in editing which is like, how much should you edit something? And the answer is always as much as you have to, right? Because it could be a lot, it could be little. It really depends on the thing you're editing. And I think that when you have an actual play, especially an actual play, something like Mothership that is going to lend itself towards modulation of voices or the sound of hissing doors or a rumbling engine or anything like that, as long as it doesn't distract, if it enhances, it's good. If it distracts, it's bad. I think that's the bottom line. And I think that just comes down to really a matter of talent of the editor and perhaps the taste of the consumer. That's why I've always listened to actual plays more than I've watched them. I think it's
I definitely a listener, predominantly listening.
But I do know that the visual stuff, I mean, if you're looking to build a YouTube channel, the visual stuff really does matter. But how did it differ, I think, was the main point of your question. It differed.
Yeah, did you notice what was cut out?
I did.
A little bit, yeah. Yep.
But it was better. Like it was better.
Yeah.
As just a piece of media to consume, it was better edited, clearly.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do with editing. I try to, because obviously if you listen to Nobody Wake the Bugbear, there's a lot of arguing and other things like that.
I kind of like it though.
Every now and then.
It's fun.
And we actually get a lot of good comments from arguing, funnily enough. And I always feel bad about, is this really what people want to listen to? But
apparently,
time after time, people will say, oh, I really like how that sounds exactly what I have to deal with.
Yeah.
In my sessions.
And the other thing too is it's actual drama. Like we're trying to recreate drama with an actual play. When you guys are actually arguing, that's your actual drama, and people are drawn to that.
Yeah, I have to dumb it down. I have to take out the personal insults and the swearing.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
What I think is fun about that, it's so good because what we see or what we hear when you guys are doing that is we just hear a bunch of friends that we can relate to. Like we talk like that to our friends too. And so having the arguments like to as a bit of a break in what's happening in the game, I don't know, it's oddly enough, it feels endearing to hear that.
Yeah.
Like,
it's real.
It's real. Yeah, it's real. Like, oh yeah, I've been frustrated like that. It's great.
Yeah, because if you're gonna so it always comes down to this, and not to get overly philosophical, but like, what is it you're attempting to do with your product? If you are in fact somebody working on YouTube, you yourself, Warden, just this idea. If you're trying to make an audio drama with no table talk, then really what you're doing is, and I think you're catering to a very small subset of a very small subset, which is 4D, because there's less table talk in 4D, right? To the tune of sometimes
very
almost
little.
zero.
Yeah, very little.
So are you trying to make that? Because it brings up the question of something like an audio drama. If you're trying to make an audio drama, people are going to just probably go listen to audio dramas, because the hard realities is they're going to be better, right? They're going to be better than if you're trying to make an actual play just an audio drama. I think when people listen to actual plays, a lot of them, they do want those little moments to remind you that this is something that person experiences at their table too. And I think, I don't know if that's true it sounds like it's true for Crispy, but I don't know if that's true for everybody. I think they want to feel like, oh, this is kind of like my table, but then also the excellence of that, the touch, the editing, the modulated voices, the music, for the most part, staying in character. But those little moments where you come up for air, it's a reminder that it's not just an audio drama. Because if you're trying to make an audio drama, you better be some good ass actors. You better be convincing.
Yeah.
You better have really good storylines. You better have, so role playing's different. It's not the same. It is different. And that's good. The activity's different.
I think what's unique about the show Nobody Wake the Bugbear is because I am the main editor and doing it all together. So it's never really been about producing something what the audience wants to see. It's about what I like to listen to.
Amen.
And the editing in the show is very much a reflection of what I enjoy personally. And I think that's what keeps me passionate about it and able to really put everything into it, is because I want it to make it the best possible for myself first, and then as a benefit that benefits other people who like the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't like audio dramas, so it's never been about that. If I get an inkling in a show where people are sort of catering the results to a specific thing, I'll turn off. I just said, this isn't what I'm listening to for this for. It's not real anymore. It doesn't have mechanics behind it. It's not randomly generated, which is what the kind of stories that tabletop RPGs give you.
And that's true in anything, Andrew. Like if you will lack authenticity, there are a lot of people who will tune out of something and they can't even articulate the inauthenticity. They can just sense it, but they don't even know what they're sensing, but it's a turnoff. It's a real interesting, like psychologically, like you're just like, something about this is off, and it's a lot of times it's the lack of authenticity, which is very clear.
I don't like story gaming either so much, because then the actors or the players have pre-discussed something and are then acting it out to reach a predefined result or something like that. And a couple of times at the table, we've leaned into that a few times, and I've had to stop and say, this isn't the kind of thing I really want.
Yeah.
So I would rather the players not discuss a certain thing they want to do and just be the character.
Exactly.
Do what you want to do.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So we can veer away.
Yeah, completely. You don't want to make the decisions for the character based on what the player wants the story to be.
Correct.
Right.
You're just making decisions for what would that character be doing right now? Not what's best for the story. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it afterwards, and the interactions that we've had as our characters, they'll be the highlight of whatever happened. That'll be the story. But I agree with you. I don't like this above table negotiation between players. I think we need an upbeat thing here. Or I think we need a mini climax here. Like, dude, that's really weird. Why don't
the biggest shows 100% do that?
I don't like that.
Or we're going to have a bar scene or something like that.
What we need here is a scene that goes. I reviewed a game. I watched a game that was that. It was a pure story game, and to me, it just was so strange to have this discussion, like, well, what our story needs now is we need this, so let's make a scene for this. Wow, that is totally foreign to what I'm looking for. Not interested at all in that. I think it's much better to just stay in that character and not what's the story need. No.
Yeah, that gets back to the AP thing that Andrew was talking about, which is like, did you notice, I think this line of discussion, which has now become tangential, but I don't care because I like that, which started as, the AP, what is it different? What do you like about it? Do you like the added stuff? 100%. But I think to Andrew's point, and I think it's one that really should be driven home, is that at the end of the day, you have to make the thing that you enjoy making. And I think that's really what it comes down to, because anything else will be seen through, or you'll just end up resenting and hating it over time. You'll just start to go, how did we get here? You'll say that. You're like, this isn't why I started to do this. I didn't start doing this to be trapped and to do a thing this way. You do it the way you want to do it. Yeah, fuck that. We're already working.
One of the things I absolutely hate, I think it's a detriment to good actual plays, is excessive costuming. I don't think that brings anything to an actual play. And I know that some people are like, no, I love the cosplay. It helps me. To me, it does not do a thing. Like, we're gonna have uniforms, or we're gonna do this, or we're all wear makeup, or we'll all paint our nails the same color, or whatever it is. I don't think that helps.
Don't dress up anymore, Andrew. You hear me? Stop it.
It just doesn't. To me, that brings nothing at all. So I think you're much better to put your effort into, getting better post-production stuff if you're going to do that. I do think there's room. There's a question that you had asked, which is like, what about the authentic experience versus the highly curated one? I think there's room for both. I think that it's nice to have a trimmed version of the game session where there's been some editing and some post-production work with some sound effects and maybe some voice mod work. I think there's room for that. And right alongside, here is the raw game. If you want to just see it, this is what it was. Some of us are going to pick to see it. Like, I would tend to pick the one that is unedited as the more, this is the raw experience.
That's interesting.
But I also think that for someone who's just looking at it for a fun listen, it's much more fun to listen to the voice mods and the sound effects and the music that's exactly perfect for the scene that you're in.
Can I jump on that for a second? Because I think authenticity and high production, I think there's this conflation that they are opposing forces.
Perhaps.
I'm not convinced that they are. And I say that because I think when you're sitting down at the table to role play, that those moments, as long as they're not curated, as you were saying before, Crispy, like, oh, we need the bar scene, or as long as we're role playing and we're staying in character for most of the session, I think that experience in and of itself is authentic. And I don't think if you then hand that to an editor, especially somebody as dedicated as Andrew up there, and he starts to add and toy and change, it doesn't undermine the authenticity of the player as they were captured in the moment. It just highlights them.
I can be convinced of that. Yeah, I see. I hear what you're saying. I certainly could see that being the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I try to do, because I think, awkward silences, long silences, or verbal filler, or just saying something again so it's a bit clearer, I don't think that takes away from the authenticity of the game.
No.
Which is, I think, what we try to do is we might make a comment here and there, a clarifying thing, but most of the time I leave that in. You've noticed in our actual play of the Screaming on the Alexis, I did keep in moments of clarifying questions.
Yeah.
To keep that sort of feel, because a lot of podcasts could easily take out dice rolling. They could cut straight to the result.
Yeah.
But then what are they doing?
Like to keep that in there, Yeah. It's not a radio play we're trying to do.
Right. That gets back to that. I cut everything.
Yes. Why cut everything, everyone? Leave it in.
There you go.
Andrew, thoughts?
I mean,
You're the player, and you've experienced many such games, and you've listened to many such games as well. What's your experience between the actual personal experience at the table and then listening back?
oh, I always appreciate the amount of effort and production that goes into episodes, not only because he can edit all my mistakes and errors out to make me not look so stupid, but no, just the atmosphere that the music, the added sound effects, the added com fluctuations, that all adds it. I always really enjoy playing the games.
Does it
But
motivate
I always
you?
really look forward to listening to it once it's all been.
Yeah. Does it motivate you because you can listen back to it later, and that pushes you to do better in the game?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I re-listen to the episodes, all I hear is usually the things. Oh, I could have said this better. I was like, I
tell
should
me
have
about
jumped
it.
in here, or I wish I hadn't mumbled my words or stuttered a bit there. But very much so, having it recorded, re-listening to it, it's very much a drive of, okay, well, I want to improve this next time. I want to tweak on this in the next game.
Every podcaster ever, Andrew, says the same exact thing, which is like,
I'm
as soon
sure.
as the recording stops, they go, I should have said, God, why didn't I?
Yeah.
How did I miss? That's like so common. And that's awesome.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
You're
No,
not
you're
alone.
not. You're not
I feel
alone,
the same
dude.
way. I've never put the effort in yet to come even a fraction of the distance in editing skill is what you have, Andrew. But some people, out of the kindness of their heart, have done that for a few of my sessions, and it was I found it quite inspiring. This is way better than what I listened to it again with their.
You don't notice the long silences when you're playing because
You
you're
don't.
immersed.
And when they're removed skillfully, then it just flows. And as a piece of entertainment, it's very good. And I was very inspired. And yeah, it made me want to do more. And
Yeah.
it reaches a bigger audience, which is also a good thing because we want more people playing these games. We want to
Yeah.
introduce more people to Mothership and role playing in general, especially pen and paper role playing, not the computer stuff. That's nonsense. And this is a good way of doing that if you can produce something that takes a real game. Speaking to the authenticity argument that I think Dean made very well, it's convinced me. Take those real interactions and then polish it to the point where someone who's clicking on a video for the first time will be like, what is this? I'm really enjoying listening to this. This is great. It's really good. I think that's an excellent exercise. I just wish that I had time to learn how to be a better editor. DaVinci terrifies me.
No one's got time for that. Trust me.
Yeah, I know it's a nightmare. I've been experimenting with a lot more with it myself and what I do, and it's so fun and expressive, but it's a massive time sink. It's hours and hours and hours, but it's cool. It's a cool skill to learn. But it's funny. You said something, player Andrew, that I thought is just so true. When our warden friend asked you, he said, about. You're looking forward to listening back to hear the nice touch, to hear the polish. It's very true. And not to glaze our wonderful host here, but when you have a guy like you, sir, and you're going to take all this time and do all this work and do all this shit, you don't want to show up like a jabroni with your thumb up your back. You want to be like, I'm ready to role play. Like, I'm ready to get into this character.
It'll be there in high definition.
We sort of brushed past the spectator sport angle discussion of probably in the interest of time because people ramble like Crispy and me. But the idea of the spectator sport thing is it isn't. It's funny. It's de jure not a spectator sport, but de facto it is. Do you see what I'm saying? It isn't, but it has become one because millions of people watch this shit. But
yeah,
it does create a level of, I want to step up my game and really like understand this character, and I really want to be present, and I don't want my mind to wander. And that comes from because I'm sitting at a table with a group that I know is going to do a really good job. Everyone elevates everyone else. And then the production and the work on top of it, you don't want to be a jabroni when Bugbear releases their next joint, because you know it's so. Yeah, it does. It inspires you to do a little bit better. I think it does for me anyway, for sure.
Well, now specifically with the 4D kind of stuff, obviously we've implemented that a lot with our actual plays recently. Andrew, how would you feel that has there been a difference noticing that style?
Definitely. I think since going more into taking some of the 4D role-playing behaviors and applying it to the podcast, very much it allows us all to stay in the moment, in the thick of the action a lot more, as opposed to getting out, asking those clarifying questions, trying to figure out some sort of best approach. Instead, just leaving it as reacting to things in the moment at the table. I think that brings a lot more depth to the characters themselves that perhaps we were missing before we started implementing this stuff.
I think that's in contrast to other groups who have tried 4D with actual plays, where they thought it was taking something away from the experience. Mm-hmm. They mentioned that they didn't feel like they lost the person in the game. They didn't see the reacting to dice rolls, oh wow, that's great. That's a great roll, They lost something.
The table
but
talk.
I don't feel that at all. Yeah, I don't feel that at all.
Yeah.
Because we start the game, we're all there, we're all friends, ready to have a fun time playing playing RPGs. And we talk shit before I start recording. But once I click record and we all get that silence and we're ready to start the game, it's so great having that switch where we finally can fully immerse ourselves in the game. And it's the goal of the session is to get that immersion. And it's just great. I feel so much anticipation. Once we start that recording and the music's finished, that's the game. We're in it. And it's such a good feeling. And then when we're ready to finish, well, say, see you next week, there's a big release of player tension.
Yeah, it's literally like a big breath of, okay, I'm out of it. I personally survived it. My character might not have, but I am.
You survived.
Amen, brother.
So I think taking all those feelings that you may have during the game to comment on people's roles, to celebrate what happened, I think if you take that and move it to after the game or before the game,
or into the character,
or into the channel it into your character, I think that is a much better way to look at 4D role playing, rather than I have to stifle my personal emotions when playing this character. You don't have to stifle them. You just have to
channel them,
redirect them, channel them.
Channel it. Yeah. Andrew, you said, as you've adopted some of these practices, and maybe most of them, but I would just like to touch on that. I think that you should tailor what you take from the style to fit your group with the people you know best. Like these are your friends.
I definitely agree.
Don't use this as a wedge issue to drive people away. Take the things that are going to work and be patient and understanding, and don't use it as a cudgel. Like, no,
you asking?
You idiot! Don't do that anymore. Just you want it to be still a good, enjoyable experience that everyone wants to come back and experience as soon as they can get again. Like they want more. You want them to come back. So take what works, and if something isn't working, then I wouldn't be dogmatic about it. I'd say, well, this works for us. This doesn't. Okay, great. I'm happy for you.
I think we're very blessed with the group of people that we've got to play with. Is that it is the general consensus around the table is that we all do want to have that the best story, the best moments, the in character, and having everybody at the table all wanting to have that same level of role playing, actual play, and storytelling. That definitely helps, as opposed to having to try and. Beat people over the head with the 4D. It's like, who are you asking? What are you doing?
Who are you asking that to? Oh, come on, you guys.
A few reminders every now and then.
A few reminders actually help, and it does become second nature.
Yeah. What worked with our session is that without any real pre-discussion, once we were in the game, we all knew how to go about stuff, and that's why it flowed so well. I think there was a lot of good chemistry between the players, and it comes out in the session, I think.
It sure does.
Where it feels very natural, and we all know what to expect from each other. Sure, there were a few clarifying questions and breaks to go to the toilet or things like that. But I think as long as we had those predefined points where, okay, we're ready to play, then we're having a break, I think that really helps.
Yeah, I think
keep it immersive.
I love the way you described it, Andrew. The maybe my character didn't survive, but I did, and that elation at the end, I think, is what makes it so worth it. Me personally, like the games I like to play are the games that give me the most freedom. When something says, like, take a PC game, if it says open world, and then I go, nah, not so open as they say, then I'm like, so I'm always searching. Like, I'm one of those weirdos who's like, I like EVE Online because it's the ultimate in the free individual's experience to do something. I can go anywhere, I can do anything, I can go die, I can lose everything. I want risk. I don't want guardrails. I don't want the bumpers on the guy. I want to throw gutter balls. Damn it, let me throw gutter balls. And I think when it comes to this whole 4D thing, one of the things I like about it is that it's really just unmooring yourself from the dock and pushing yourself out to sea, and just going, all right, like, what's going to happen? I don't know. I can't turn back to continue the dumb metaphor. The shore is not in sight. I don't know what the hell's going on. I got to figure it out. And being able to sink or swim out there, as somebody who's been role-playing for way too many years, that leaning into that experience is just really what it is for me. It's like, I guess I'm just full of debauchery. I've done everything already. I want to do the fucked up stuff now, which is like
a degenerate role player.
I'm a degenerate. Push me out to sea and let me see what happens out there without guardrails, without the rope, without the safety jackets, without the, hey, DM, can and then that feeling you describe, man, I get it. Like, when the session ends, you're like, whew, that was awesome. And I think for me, that's one of the most exciting aspects of trying to stay in character as much as possible, i.e. 4D, is that right there. And that's what the most awesome thing has been for me during my personal 4D journey, as it were.
I'll say for you, Crispy, you've ruined my experience from actual players. When I hear constant questions and anecdotes and celebration of roles, I can't unhear it now.
I got a natty 20.
Oh, it's just,
think about it. Like,
I don't know if you've ruined my experience or not, but
I know it seems pedantic to joke about you can't celebrate your critical successes, but I always think of myself, like, if there's a moment where somebody rolls a 20, whatever it happens to be, something crazy happens, there's going to be reactions around the table, but isn't it more exciting for you to maybe have a quick reaction at the table, fine, but then really turn that towards the character, and for the character to react to the crazy thing that just happened? Like, you lopped off the Minotaur's head in one shot, the blood sprays into your face.
Exactly, Dean.
That's awesome.
The result is what's awesome.
For sure.
The number on the math rock.
Forget the number. I wanted to see the
result.
Yeah,
get to the result. That's what I want.
The guy jumps from building to building, and he just makes it, and you want to, even as a player that it's not happened to, as a player maybe in the room or you chop the Minotaur's head off with one shot, maybe the guy next to him is like, whoa, that's all inspired, I rip my sword out of the sheath and charge, instead of just being like, yeah, you rolled a 20, let's go, girl.
Mechanically, all you would need to say is critical, and then jump straight into your describing what happened.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's all you need to do.
Somehow that's inauthentic.
If you're going to react, why not react in character? Like, wouldn't it be cool?
I think that's because people are not in character when they roll the 20. It's like, if you were in character and you roll the critical, then you're thinking, yes, my character is happy because he's succeeded at what he's doing.
Yep.
If you're not in character, you're just a person sitting at the table rolling a die.
That's right.
And you roll that 20, you're like, oh yeah, I feel good because I did something cool, which isn't
like
in character.
It's like hitting blackjack. You're not role playing. Yeah. You go, yes. It's the same thing.
I play with a guy often, I wish I could play more often with him. And he does this thing where, because we can see everyone's dice rolls, we like to have the dice rolls appear on the camera, just right on the screen, so everyone can see the dice rolls. And where appropriate, so where his character would have seen what someone else's character was doing and they rolled a critical, he'll interject something like "nice shot" or something like that.
Right.
Like he'll do something he'll reinforce what has been happening, but he'll be doing it in character. He'll celebrate the success, but he's doing it in character to the other character, and it works very well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yes, I've ruined many people. Warden Andrew is not the only one I've ruined, but
that's true.
No apologies. There's a better way.
Indeed. Yep. Yeah, like he was saying, even for something like, I used to think, well, you especially need to be in character to make horror work. And I find myself finding that's just true for all good games.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be a huckster in a Wild West, I'm in character. If I'm going to be a former fisherman up in New England in a bar, I'm going to be in character. And so I don't think it's specific to genre, you know?
No, I don't. I think you're absolutely right.
It elevates the whole damn thing.
It does. Because that's the activity. Role playing is the activity.
So at the end of the day, the final thoughts you would have to someone playing or about to play the Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG is any final words or introduction you would give everyone?
I would say, if you've only played Dungeons and Dragons, go and play Mothership now.
Try it. Yeah, try it out.
Give it a shot.
And really lean into what it's trying to do. Understand what it's trying to do, and then commit to that. This is a horror. Like you used the touchstone of Event Horizon or Alien or something like that. That's what we're going for. Get some buddies together. Say, yeah, we all like that. Oh, I love that movie. Okay, we're gonna play in a universe like that, and then take it for what it's worth. I think the more serious you take these things, the more enjoyment you're going to get out of it.
I agree. I think if you role play and you like that genre, then you should have done this yesterday. You know, if it's not if you're like, oh, I don't know about horror and stuff, well, then maybe try it anyway. But I get the apprehension. But if you like that stuff and you haven't done it, what are you waiting for? Get on it.
It's a great gateway. Yeah, it's a gateway drug. This thing is Mothership is going to open up your horizons to all sorts of other games that facilitate an in-character experience, and those are going to be incredibly memorable.
Yeah. I have a question for our host.
Yes.
Are you always running modules?
Yes, I would say I always run modules. I haven't done any homebrew Mothership scenarios yet.
Do you follow them pretty closely, or do you play around with them a lot?
I'm very selective about what I run. Obviously, I read a lot, have access to a lot of different modules, and if I don't like the logic behind it, or I can't see how it would put together, I don't choose to play it. So when I pick modules, it has to have a logical scenario to base everything off.
Got it.
Because I think if there's characters in this situation, how would I do it personally as a player, and what I would come to expect would happen. And I think, our sessions go a bit off the rails, I think.
You might be one of the most unique people in the 4D, at least adjacent community, because I think you run modules almost all the time.
Yeah, I love running modules.
That's so interesting. And yet there's this seamless feel of, like, it doesn't feel like you're dragging us through the story beats. Do you see what I'm saying? Because sometimes that's anathema to the 4D crew. Not for good reason, because the damn book wants to push people in directions. And so no, I was curious about that.
Like in our actual play, the ship was going to have an accident.
Right.
That's the premise.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Premise.
So
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think.
No,
because in Alien, the egg goes aboard the ship.
Yeah.
And with aliens, they're going to go to the planet to see what happens. That's a given.
Kane is infected. That's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the premise, right? So then they work it from there. Yeah, that's good.
So I think once I've got that premise and I've got that location is good and the premise is good, then I work off that and throw the characters in.
Yeah,
like
you also
when you guys.
I'm sorry. I was saying you don't jump in a pool and then say, "How come I'm wet too?" Right? So if you're a 40 role player and you're going to play Mothership, you should probably expect on some level that things are going to go kind of weird and awry. I guess is my point. I'm speaking to maybe our 4D people who haven't tried something like Mothership, which is reliant on a lot of modules that, expect something like that to happen, so to speak.
It's the premise. It's great.
Yeah.
The premise is great.
Yeah.
It's. I think that it's. I think this is entirely valid. Start with a good premise, and then the players will mess it up. Like you said, the players will go in and do whatever they do, and it'll be.
The truth.
But the fact that you, Warden Andrew, have read through it, you can react in a way that be consistent with the world as presented in the module. That's entirely fine. I don't see any issue at all. It's not incompatible with player agency because we're just agreeing that this is the starting premise, and then we go from there.
And it's solid. It's seamless, so it's good. I'm curious as to how you would do if you did something without a module. I wonder if it would be even better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Perhaps.
it's good.
Perhaps.
Good stuff.
Well, just touching on that finally, when we started the game, we sort of zoomed in to the window of your ship, the last goodbye, and you're all eating around the dinner table. That's a classic Alien opening,
Yes,
a little mess hall. The captain comes in after a certain moment. That's a little push to start the sort of the exposition.
You got it.
But you as characters could have gone straight to the cryo beds in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
But obviously you wanted to go check the engines. You want to go check your gear. You were suspicious of the android, which is all interpersonal contract.
We didn't want to run from ping pong table to ping pong table, right? We wanted to marinate in the scene.
So as a module, you could have just gone straight to this point. The accident could have happened. Then you're in a derelict graveyard. It could have gone a lot of different ways, but I think doing it, giving the players the agency to work within the bounds of the module and the situation, I think is good.
That's good advice for a game master too. Don't push. Let them marinate.
Yeah, let them roast in their own juices.
Very much.
Give them the rope to. I can't say that. The rope to tie themselves with.
Hoisted by their own petard.
That's right.
All right. I think we've reached the end of our conversational tone between Warden and players. Would you like to give a final thought on where we can find you and spruik yourself? Feel free. Andrew.
You can find me on Nobody Wake the Bugbear podcast because that's all I do.
Nice. Thanks for having me. I am Dean.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Just look up LSG Media. You'll find all the stuff I do. I've been doing I've been podcasting for a long time, and it's a ton of fun. And
if people are interested in sci-fi horror specifically, is there any episodes or series you can direct them to?
Yeah, I mean, you'll find if you go to we've covered all of them. Because we started in 2014, we're going back to some of those older ones and covering them again. Because we were really plucky upstarts that thought we had an opinion that was valid enough to go after the greats with really early. And I'm like, maybe we should revisit those 12 years later. So we're looking to do some of the classics again, which will be fun. But yeah, we've talked about all the movies we've talked about from back in the day, especially if you're like Gen X cusp millennial type or Gen Xer, you'll be right at home in that world that we've built over there.
And you're playing in an actual play coming up, or maybe it's been released already. The Chaos Ensues system ran by Uriah from Roll On Buddy, another great channel. Please check it out. But yeah, you can see Dean on that soon.
Coming up.
Chris.
Yes. thanks for having me again. Both of you gentlemen, very, very fun to have these conversations with you. I think back to my Mothership experience with fondness. That was a great game session, great game, great people. You can find me at Table Runner on YouTube. It's Table Runner Crispy. There are other Crispies out there. We don't have a lot in common. So look for at Table Runner and you'll see me, forehead and all. And I continue to produce all sorts of commentary that you're free to ignore. But yeah, we have fun doing it. So yeah, happy to be here. And do check out Dean's podcast. He's underselling it. It's actually really good.
I'm the worst self-marketer. I can sell anything to anybody, and I'm the worst self-marketer. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's that like self-deprecating Northeast, New England thing. I don't know what it is. But can I just say, can we get some more? I mean, seriously, Warden Andrew, can we get some more? Can we get another tap on the show? I'm very greedy. First of all, I appreciate you asking me on.
Well,
now I'm saying,
touching on that, I wanted to finish
play again.
I wanted to finish on that. Do you have a
shit,
D10
I blew
handy?
you up.
D10.
You have a
I
D10
always
handy.
have a D10 handy. Always.
I
Dean,
don't.
you need one.
All right,
Get one.
wait. Here's what I'll do. No, watch this.
Dice roller.
No. This is gonna blow your minds. Wait
It's
for
going
it.
to show on the screen, isn't it?
I'm gonna make it happen. Hold your horses. I gotta open Steam. Steam's being slow. Sophie's is on Steam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
There we go.
We can
See?
trim this for dramatics.
Here's my secret.
Oh,
Sophie's
Crispy's got
Spice.
it up.
It'll appear. Just give me 1 second. There we are. And now we get a D10.
Library. Sophie's
rolled a
dice.
7. It's a 7.
You got it.
Sophie's dice failed to open. Does that mean I'm out?
Dean, would you like to go with Crispy's roll there?
What'd you roll?
I can roll 4, Dean. Here we
All
go.
right, you can roll. All right,
7,
you roll
7.
for me. I'll take a 7.
All right.
Get
It's
that
a 4 on the second roll. What was official?
I'll take the 7.
You take 7. I'll take 4.
Well, yeah. you
Okay,
should
it was
pick
just for
first.
Dean.
Oh, Dean.
Oh, my Dean
Dean, as your character
is Hank. dead?
runs for the loader, Hank,
No.
the claws of this creature rend your back
Ow.
and impales into your suit and you pierces your vac suit. These claws impale you through the back and blood shoots out everywhere, oozing. But you are still alive, in dire need of medical attention. And we'll see what happens next time on The Law of Salvage, Episode 3. Look for it coming up.
Excellent.
And that's what I had. We found out the fate.
The fate.
Oh,
The fate
Pearson,
of
the
Hank.
backseat's bad news.
Yeah, I know.
You're
I
alive.
know. Time constraints and time zones make it difficult, but boy, it would be great to play with you guys again at
For
some
sure.
point.
I
I know it's
definitely
a
got it on the-
real challenge.
Yeah.
Scheduling and the technology is a challenge, but boy, it'd be awesome if we could.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely on the cards. I've actually, in my another announcement video that I've just released on YouTube, I'm doing this part-time now on the podcast officially.
Good
I
for
have
you.
been doing a lot of hours recently, but now it's official. So hopefully I'll have a lot more time to do this kind of thing. And we can also schedule it at a more opportune time for you guys, not 4 o'clock in the morning.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's a
really,
nice
really
feeling.
good. Nice feeling. But I think I've stuffed my children in the games room with some breakfast and they've had it,
Yeah,
They've
and the
had it.
wife.
Yep.
So they're content. So I think this sort of time is workable. I think this is a good test run for it. But yeah, with this time being more available in the morning for us and the evening for you, I think it will work out. We can get a session going.
Yep.
I could make a Friday
thank
work
you.
for sure.
Yes. This has been Nobody Wake the Bugbear. We have been having a roundtable discussion on the Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG and 4D role-playing in general, and actual play podcasts. I have been Andrew the Warden, your host. My co-host has been...
Andrew the Player. Thanks for having us.
And lastly, thank you, Chris from Table Runner Crispy and Dean from LSG Media and Gallows Humor Games.
My
Been a pleasure talking with you, gentlemen. And we'll see you in the next game, hopefully. Look out for it.
I can't wait.
Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Bye,
See ya.
guys.
And cut.
And cut.